Welcome to Leadership DNA, a podcast for those who aspire to be a better leader. Alongside Arturo Gomez, I'm Rob Cressy. Today's topic, transformational leadership. And Arturo, this one is another banger. It is something that you and I both live, and oh baby, there is so much power in this. So let's start with this. What is transformational leadership?
Well, let me first just say that we're going to get into the definition. We're going to have a great pod. We're going to talk about a lot of the attributes about transformational leadership. But I will tell you right now that the rarity of transformational leaders, these are the people that change the world. These are the people that are able to get masses of individuals to march behind them because their vision is just so insanely clear that it becomes the only way, it becomes the truth. It just becomes what we have to do. I think one of the main, transformational leaders, they're dead set on making everybody around them exceptional. And so that is really a key attribute of this behavior. I'll talk about a couple specific, attributes that I love that are associated with being a transformational leader. And the first one starts with vision. It's like you have to have such a clear path of where the organization is going, or the organization, the team, the group, whatever it is that this individual is leading, the path and the goal is so clearly outlined that it becomes not only believable, it just becomes it's the word. It is the gospel. It is 100%, where things are going. When you talk about, I'm not a tremendously religious person, but you look at obviously a guy by the name of Jesus Christ, at least the historians have said that, he was able to drive masses to the point where we, centuries, millennia later, we still have a religion that is based off of the teachings and based off of the fundamental, teachings, yes, that he was pushing at the time. Charisma is a key attribute of transformational leaders, and we just did a pod it's on servant leadership. Charisma is not part of that attribute set, and it's because you almost have to go through servant leadership in order to get to transformational leadership. But part of the attribute, so one of the main things that transformational leaders have or are required to have is this magnetism, this ability to walk into a space, to hold a conversation, to be able to charm people. And it's, there's been people that have been able to do this and to use this as for quote unquote evil as well. There's been some tremendously charismatic individuals in our history that have gone on to do some not so great things. But charisma is something that is absolutely a critical piece. And by the way, there's 15 to 20 attributes when you Google this, like, things that you can find within, what defines transformational leadership. I gravitated and grabbed onto a few things that I thought were really compelling. Inspirational is another thing. It's being able to convince and to get people motivated through the vision to. Can you hear me, Rob? I think I lost you here.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Getting people to believe, again, in the purpose, in the mission, in the goals, and where we're going. And so that to me is, obviously you have the vision, you have charisma, but it's individuals that have the ability to inspire this thought process and this idea, and through inspiration, then creating movement and action. The next thing that I would say is intellectual stimulation. Transformational leaders make it a priority for their team to be creative and to be innovative. Whether or not you say Elon Musk is a transformational leader, I don't know that he's a transformational leader. I would say that he has transformational leadership qualities. I would say that there's probably some significant pieces that are also missing, but this is an individual that has created vision around many of his companies. This is an individual that has been able to, whatever you think of him, um, he is tremendously charismatic because of his intelligence and because of the things that come out of his mouth. He certainly has, inspired people around his ideas, inspired a generation, really. That people call him the Einstein of our generation. Whether or not that becomes true at the end of the story, I don't know. But he's certainly somebody that is impacting our generation from a technology standpoint in wild ways. And I think that you can also look into the way his expectation and his resources that he has surrounded his team with in terms of this intellectual stimulation and requiring them to innovate and to be creative. The next big chunk is this idea of individual consideration. And so that is part of something we discussed in servant leadership. It is the idea that you are so honed in on the individual. Okay. And so if you have a team of 100, this is the requirement of you actually knowing who those 100 people are, what those 100 people, what they're about, what their lives are about. This is making sure that you absolutely understand their needs wholeheartedly and that you're there to be able to coach them and to mentor them. And this also requires you to actually give time to that individual in a way that would actually get them to the next level. And so that's extremely difficult, really difficult when you're really looking through this list of the people that need your assistance. They need your charisma, they need your energy, they need your motivation. And that's you absolutely going down to the ground level and making sure that they all have that. Positive reinforcement is the last one that I think is so important and so critical. I was talking last night in this meeting that I was having with an employee about the need to not just be the person that corrects. Don't just run around telling people what they've done wrong or how they can get better or what they need to do to improve, because people shut down to that. Like, if that's all you have to say to me, honestly, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to have anybody around me that's their only interaction with me. If all you see are the things that I'm doing horrible, then you and I don't have a relationship together. So, and that is an absolute requirement. Transformational leaders, what they'll do is the way that I've always kind of internalized it in terms of a visual way is that if you're there to push your teammate down, you should be there to lift them up. So you should be there with an extended hand and, hey, it's okay. I'm just showing you what needs to be done. I'm giving you a piece of my intensity. I'm sharing the vision, but I'm also going to let you know wholeheartedly that I think you're doing a great job. I think that together we're going to get to where we need to go. And it's also making sure that you're honing in on the minutia. Like, if you see something that is just a job well done, tell them it's a job well done. Don't ever get into this habit or this idea that that's their job. They should be doing that. Okay. So tell people they're doing a good job if they're doing a good job. Like, why withhold that information? People traditionally want to withhold it because they want the upper hand. It's where ego comes in and says, you know what? I don't want to let them feel too good, because if they feel too good, maybe they'll leave me. Maybe their ego will get inflated. Maybe they'll think they're too good to be on this team. Whatever the case is, it's 100% ignorance. It's your inability to actually let your feelings flow in a way that they should flow, to create the best relationship and productivity for a team. But people don't often do it because it's like, okay, they're doing their job. I'm not going to let them know that. And so those are the things that I think for me really resonate transformationally when you think about whether it's corporate leaders that have led organizations to magnificent things, whether it's religious figures, whether it's political figures. There's scattered list of people throughout our history that I think have been transformational leaders that really have changed history and changed the course of technology and the way that modern society has evolved. They're out there. They're few and far between. I think you have to get to a really advanced state of leadership and of self-understanding to ever even become close to this. But all of you that are out there listening that really care about leadership and are passionate about leadership, this should be your holy grail. This is what we're all chasing. You get to this level and you write your ticket to wherever you want to go because you have limited barriers in front of you.
I love it. And Arturo, yes to everything times 1,000,000%. Just that was a master class of goodness in there. And I'm going to fill in some things from the standpoint of I am that dude. I am the transformational leader. I am the one of one. I live this on a daily basis. I speak from stage. I coach entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders. I'm actively building a community of high-performing leaders to help transform them and be the best version of themselves in their business and in their life every single day. So on top of everything that you just said, which is a 100% yes, I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain to fill in some of these things based on what you said. So, number one, you mentioned difficulty, the difficulty in being this. And for me, this is effortless, where one of the terms that I live and coach is effortless effort. When you can do something that adds growth or positivity to your life in such a way where it doesn't even feel like you're doing anything. And the example that I always give for this is, and there's two of them. One, we so often hear, oh man, you want more gratitude in your life. It's like, all right, how in the world do I do it? Well, very simply, you turn your toothbrush into a trigger. Why? Well, twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, you sit there and you brush your teeth. And for the majority of the people, you're on your phone and you just sit there and you look at yourself in the mirror. Or you can just pick up your toothbrush and say 3 things you're thankful for. I'm thankful for getting to do a podcast with Arturo about leadership where we help people. I'm thankful for my son, and I'm thankful for my dog. I've always wanted a dog. Boom. Twice a day, every day, drip, drip, drip. And another one is, and this is so simple, every single year is the best year of my life because I'm someone who looks forward, not backwards. It doesn't mean that every year I got married or had a kid or bought a house or had the best year financially. It's actually about a lifestyle and a way of being, because why would we ever choose for this year or this day to not be our best moment? Because your best year is your best month, week, days, and moments. You just stack that up. So what I do at the beginning of every single year is I just take a piece of paper and I write 2024 best year ever. And I set it right next to my bed. So it's on my nightstand. What's the very first thing that I see every single day? 2024 best year ever. What's the last thing that I see every single day? 2024 best year ever. Drip, drip, drip. This is an example of effortless effort. So my life in my teaching and the way that I coach is oftentimes the micro. What is the 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 that you do where you start stacking ones instead of zeros? Because the next level of this is, despite the fact that this is effortless effort, I'm all in. So this is incredibly challenging and super simple at the same time. Simple is not easy, but simple can be easy. So with this, I am so all in that I am intentional about every single aspect of my life because I am so self-aware of all of the fears, the judgments, the self-limiting beliefs, the who I am not, and not being at my vision of what I know is possible for me. Because that opens up the next thing, Arturo, that you said around vision. And my word is possibility. As a transformational leader, I sit and see what is possible for myself as well as you. Every single person I speak with or I coach or I lead, I am your greatest champion. When I have this conversation with you, I look at you and I'm like, I am here to be the best version of myself for Arturo. I'm a champion for everything you want to create. I see endless possibilities. And this is where we do the inner work, because I'm a master of language. I hear everything everyone says because what you speak tells me the story of what's really going on. Therefore, it's our ability to peel these onions in a very micro manner where you say one word, hey, I'm trying to figure out what to do, versus I'm going to create my vision. Two totally different worlds and perspectives. So now when you come from a place of possibility where you legitimately see endless possibility or infinite possibility for yourself, well, if it's possible for me, then it's possible for you too. Which gets to, you talked about charisma and magnetism, and how do you create that? Well, for me, and we've said this often, systems scale. So in the thread of everything that I'm sharing with effortless effort, the gratitude, the awareness practices, the reading, the books, those are systems that I have created and designed in my life or in my business for how I show up as the best version of myself every single day, so I can be that person for all of the people that I'm leading and serving every single day. And it's not, hey, come be Rob. It's, hey, here's a blueprint or a playground in which you can play to be the best version of yourself. Try these on for size, keep what serves you, discard what doesn't, and let's keep rinsing and repeating. Because at the core of this, my superpower is energy. My ability to create it for myself and transfer it to others. And one of the things that I learned early on in my journey is you cannot give to others that which you are not experiencing yourself. So it's like, Rob, how in the world do you create yourself as this person every single day? The leader of Team Good Vibes, so positive, this magnetism. Well, what everybody doesn't see is that I was not this person working a job I did not like, or jobs for a decade of my life where I was trading time for money. And I sit here and I think back to, I graduated college with a degree in marketing from Miami of Ohio University, and my dream was to work for an ad agency and to get paid to be creative and brainstorm and come up with ideas. And what was my reality? I didn't have a job for a year and a half. I was unemployed. I was dead broke, living off my credit card. I was legitimately paying rent with cash advances from my credit card. The very first job I could get, scratching and clawing for anything to stay alive, was at a Fifth Third Bank call center in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I was an inbound sales agent at a call center selling home equity loans, making $10 an hour with a computer with no email and no internet access. I was Peter from Office Space. I would clock in 7 minutes late because I knew it was exactly the amount where I wouldn't get dinged, and I would leave 7 minutes early. Every single day, I was as far away from my dream as humanly possible. So how do you become a transformational leader? Well, I wake up every single day and the first thing that I say is, today is going to be a great day. You know why? Because I am not working in a cube farm making $10 an hour, and I am willing to do legitimately every single thing it takes possible to no longer go back and be that person and live that life. And for me, it's why I've lived different lives, because when I left the corporate world and went to zero to be a full-time entrepreneur and creator, I had no self-awareness. I had no growth mindset. But on that very first day, I sat there and I was like, holy smokes, there's no one to tell me what to do. When do I wake up? What do I do for work? And I realized every single aspect of my life, I'm in control of. From what I think to what I do. So now I live a life of design, not by default. Rinse and repeat that every day for 12 years in a row. That's how you create yourself into being this transformational leader. Remember, I was not this person. I didn't know any of this stuff, but I learned it and I lived it and I was all in. In the simple fact that I am all in immediately separates me from 99.9% of people because they're not willing to go all in. But when you go all in and you see that possibility of that vision where you're like, listen, this is my only life. If I'm doing this, I'm all in on being the best. So let's design that. Let's make it happen. And if that's how I'm showing up, come on, everybody. Let's go together. You're about this life. I want to lead you. I want to help you. I will do everything in my power. And this goes back to our last episode, servant leadership.
Yeah. I mean, listen, anybody that's listening, you'll have an opportunity to rewind, what Rob said. There's a lot of, it's commitment. It's commitment. It's commitment to yourself. It's commitment to, getting better. It's not an easy path, but everything that's worthwhile is not easy, right? And so, but to your point, talking about your journey and starting in humble beginnings. And I think we all kind of did, right? It's like as you were talking, I was thinking about I don't know that transformational leadership is something that's accessible to somebody who hasn't lived. That in terms of meaning like, are there transformational leaders that are in their teens or in their 20s? I haven't necessarily seen it. I think that you have to have grown experience and be, almost a master of your subject matter to really be able to get to that next level. But it's, you and I have very, very similar thoughts in terms of this. You're obviously in a coaching environment. That's actually, that's your business. So you see outcomes on a daily basis through, relationships that you've developed that, where people have come to you for this specific service. I am in an environment where coaching and mentoring is part of my business as well. These are specific teammates that I'm interacting with. I have had a feeling of, that there are some people that can get there faster, some people that can get there, and then others that, frankly, just don't have that commitment because it starts there. It's like, if you want to be in the conversation and you really want to be at the next level, yes, there are people that have God-given talent. There are God-given attributes that really fall in line with the stuff that we're talking about. And then others that just work their asses off, so the same thing can be said about the kid that was told he'll never play professional soccer, but through a million hours of practice and a million hours of work was eventually able to achieve it because that's just what he did. It's fantastic stuff. I mean, there's nothing more exciting to me than speaking about transformational leadership. It really is, I think, the nuts and bolts. It's the end result of all the things that we talk about on a weekly basis and all the things that we've been talking about for the last 3 years, to be honest. It's how to create these small little building blocks to be able to then go and jump on the main stage. The main stage is to, ultimately become this transformational leader. But the journey is long and arduous, and it's got to be propelled by some insane commitment by an individual to get there.
So let's get to our action item and takeaway. And I've got two of them. Those who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world do. It's one of my favorite quotes. So to me, belief is paramount to this. You talked about commitment, Arturo. Believing that you can make this happen. And for me, this single word changed my life forever because I sat there as an entrepreneur at zero and I audited the success rate of entrepreneurship. And it was like 80% of small businesses fail in the first year or 3 years or 5 years. And I was like, why do most people actually not achieve their dreams? And you know what the answer is? They quit. they gave up. Yeah. Therefore, I became somebody who specialized in not quitting. And how do you specialize in not quitting? By specializing in belief. So my encouragement for you would be audit your belief in who you are, what you are doing, and your commitment and attachment to that vision that you have. And then number two, Arturo, we've just talked about transformational leadership in our past podcast. It was around servant leadership. If you're someone who resonates with this, I legitimately want to help you any way that I can. And it starts with a conversation, whether I give you resources, books, point you in the right direction, or explore how we can work together. So many people have positively affected my life, Arturo, you being one of them, with this podcast. And it all starts, think about this, Arturo, the way that we got here, I reached out to you separately just to have a conversation with you about having a podcast on your success mindset. And that led us down this journey here. So my takeaway is reach out to me or reach out to Arturo. It doesn't matter. Just take that first step, open that door to possibility, because I promise you when you do, amazing things will happen. You can hit me up, rob@robcressy.com, or on Instagram or Facebook at Rob Cressy. What about you, Arturo?
Love that. Mine is going to be simply read about transformational leadership, whether it's a book about a specific leader that falls within that, that has been designated, that falls within that category, or read more about the attributes of transformational leadership. I think the goal is for, if you're truly looking to get there, to best understand what characteristics, what pathway is required to do it, and then figure out on your own time and through your own experience, what are the best ways to emulate some of these characteristics to get there. And there's nothing that says that you can't experiment on a daily basis with some of these attributes and put them to test. Put them to test with your wife, with your husband, with your coworkers. There's a lot of the actionable things that can be done by just understanding what exactly constitutes somebody that really falls into this category of being a transformational leader. But so that would be it. Better understand it and see if there's specific things that you want to chase down. And as you begin to go down those paths, you begin to better understand what your capabilities are and what and the potential for yourself as to becoming a transformational leader.
Arturo, one quick yes and. For me, I see this as a game. When you're like, hey, what are those areas? Yeah. That's why one of my programs is called Built for the Game. It's like, holy smokes. Imagine if I saw the designing of the best version of myself or the designing of the best version of me as a leader as a game, and what each of those little micro opportunities are. And I would encourage everyone to go re-listen to the growth mindset podcast you and I did, because when you come from a growth mindset, now all of a sudden you're like Neo in the Matrix, where you're like, oh my God, you're telling me I can learn about X, Y, and Z.
I love it.
So Arturo, where can everybody connect with you?
Best place is going to be LinkedIn, Arturo Gomez.
And as always, we would love to hear from you about this. Are you a transformational leader? Do you want to be one? Or what do you see as the DNA of transformational leadership? You can hit me up on Instagram or LinkedIn at Rob Cressy.